All right, Noel, we're back here, and this time we got ourselves a guest.
We do. We're mixing things up.
Dylan, you were kind enough to have us back in the day on the Starrdumb podcast, and we said we'd get you to come back here and we try to terrify you a little bit with some, sensory deprivation horror, you know what I mean? It's because we're good guys that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
We've got a funny little history with the A Quiet Place franchise because back during the pandemic, when the lockdown happened, me and Noel tried to record it from separate locations. And let's just say one side of the audio got lost or ruined, Noel, and both
could have been anyone's.
And then after the pandemic went away and the lockdown was over, we were like, let's just record that again, to celebrate Irish cinema's opening, just kind of rid ourselves of the curse. That audio had this reoccurring click the entire way through it, so it was unusable. And then a few weeks ago, we were like scheduled to do it again. A friend of ours, Jared Bice, was supposed to come over and record it with us, and his car, he had car problems and he couldn't make it over. So this is our fourth attempt.
We hate this film.
Yeah, so this is our fourth attempt.
We started loving it.
To record the A Quiet Place franchise. It's just been cursed from the get-go.
This is our last.
So it's up to you, Dylan.
It's up to you, Dylan.
Okay. we'll make it work.
So tell me, what was your impressions of A Quiet Place?
So I've seen both of them, and I loved the concept, and I think the thing I liked most was how they picked the personalities of each of the characters.
Oh yeah,
having that deaf child, I think, helped them in a long run, with the whole being able to sign language with each other and everything.
Yeah, and you could tell she was a naturally deaf girl. Seeing it from her perspective, what a world where you need to be able to be quiet and you need to hear, and not having either of those instincts must be absolutely detrimental.
Yeah, and John Krasinski actually fought to cast a naturally deaf person or a hearing impaired person in that role, because the studio initially didn't want her to be in the role because I know they probably thought it added some sort of difficulties to the shooting process. But he actually fought for it, and he said that would add to it. And because you need someone that's like well trained in ALS, ASL, American Sign Language, and she was able to teach them and the other cast. And that's why it became more authentic, because you need someone that uses ASL in a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, it looks learned. And you don't want it to look learned. It's supposed to look natural.
Very natural about it.
And there's something as well that's happening on The Walking Dead. There's 2 hearing impaired characters on it as well. And Angel Fury's one of them. She's going around teaching everyone ASL on the set. And now they're able to communicate with each other through sign language and stuff. So it's kind of like a natural thing that does happen if you have someone that's hearing impaired in your family or around you a lot of the time, that you will pick up sign language. And the fact that this person was so, what's her name? The girl that played Regan? Millicent Simmons. And she was so because she's naturally hearing impaired, it just kind of adds to it, because it doesn't look learned,
That's it. The studio involvement is what ruins so many movies. I'm glad he fought a good fight, because this was a good horror movie, and they don't do much new things in horror. This was something actually new, I thought. Something I haven't seen a thousand times before.
Oh yeah, there's so many alien monster sci-fi films out there, so they totally put a twist on it.
But yeah, that was it. Like Invincible, but completely sensory deprivated themselves. Of course, all they have is what Regan is missing. I thought we call him Bullseye, the kid at the start.
Bullseye.
That kid was not long for this world. That kid was doing everything, and he wanted the sweet release.
Are you talking about that Noah Jupe, the one with the rocket?
No, Noah Jupe's the older kid.
Yeah, Noah Jupe was the older kid.
Okay, sorry.
We are talking about the kid.
Yeah, do you know little Bullseye at the start? Yeah. It's like literally running towards danger the entire opening of the movie.
Yeah.
And it totally sets the whole, right away what's going to happen throughout the movie as far as what the concept is because of that scene.
It was. I imagine
and the stakes.
The stakes of it. Yeah. Like you have Emily Blunt's character, Lee. Lee? No, Lee was the father.
No, Lee was the father.
What was that? Emily Blunt's character then?
Sorry, I didn't get the cheat sheet up.
Her being pregnant and having her 2 kids with her, and then having that 3rd kid killed, and she couldn't even scream. I thought
Evelyn, her character.
Evelyn. Yeah. I thought that was such an iconic scene. That was a scene, like you said, it sets up the whole movie. But I just remember thinking, that is.
I love the way
a new type of awful.
We hear the rocket sirens and then we see the rest of the scene through Millicent Simmons' point of view.
Yeah, for real.
And the sound just like goes away straight away. And then it's John Krasinski drops the bag.
She sees the shock on everybody else.
Yeah.
Why they had the youngest kid
at the very back,
up the rear?
Yeah, at the very back. Why is the mother at the back?
Let's go tactical here.
Yeah,
I was wondering the same thing.
4-year-old at the back taking up the rear.
Like your father, the father's obviously the strongest. Like John Krasinski, so he should be taking point.
I think you might as well be made of butter though when it comes to taking on these monsters. It won't be like, I'm the strongest. I'll take up the rear.
Later on, she's like, I could have carried him. My hands were free, but he's so heavy. I'm like, piggybacking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with a good old-fashioned piggyback, you know?
Yeah. Like 4, and you're like a 6'5"
man. It's almost like they put the kid in the back because they knew if anybody was going to go first, it'd be him.
He's like, I'm fed up with Bullseye's bullshit. I'm fed up. Every single time.
Like that Batman scene where like, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. But I don't know. I remember the first time I saw this film, I thought this was actually brilliant. I really did. Like, I really left the cinema thinking that was just great. And I couldn't wait for a second one. But I do, because I don't know, you get horror fatigue. I don't know if you watch a lot of horror films or if we just force you to. But you get horror fatigue after a while.
I don't watch nearly as much.
Sameness.
Loser. Like you're a
I don't watch
sameness.
I don't watch as much as you guys, but I do watch quite a bit. I love horror movies.
Yeah. So how did you think the second one rated against the first one? You think it was a worthy sequel, or did you think they
so when it comes to it's kind of I like how it kind of has the prequel to start, and then it jumps into kind of present day. I love that.
I love that, yeah. And it managed to do it in a way that wasn't confusing. It was straightforward. They just introduced how the world went to shit. It was a good way to get Lee Abbott back in it for a scene and have it be organic. And even it sounds like it should be confusing because then you've got like a prequel to start the sequel, and then it goes from being a prequel to being a sequel. But it never felt that way. It was just a cool introduction.
And then they introduced that main guy too. You know, the one that was in the second one. I can't remember his name. But that they brought him in perfectly.
Our Peaky Blinder.
Emmett. It's Cillian Murphy, Irish actor. Emmett's the character's name.
Emmett's the character.
Yeah, they introduced him at the ball game where John Krasinski's Lee shows up late.
Yeah, he has the oranges. And he shows up.
And he's like, how many innings were you in or something like that? And he said 3. And he was like, oh, shit, or some shit. And he starts cutting up the oranges.
I have no idea what baseball is, man.
It's like rounders.
People just say numbers. It doesn't make any sense. It's like bottom of the bases are loaded. It's bottom of the 4th. That's a thing apparently.
Man, baseball's huge here.
Oh, I know. It's your pastime, and it's in everything. It's it's in every idyllic scene. It's a father going to see the Little League game and his kid playing baseball. Like that's
one thing I love about America, though. In every one of your tournaments, you call your winners the world champions.
Yeah. Really? In the sports that
world champions of what? Like a what? Like a world champions of America?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
like NBA champions,
we're the only ones watching it anyway, so they just want us to feel better.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
We're the basketball champions of the world because you're only playing each other.
Yeah, we're all Tom Brady's here. You're lucky you're not taking us on.
Imagine the Irish. The Irish playing American football.
I love it. It's funny because you guys mentioned the whole baseball scene. Like, have you seen the Crazies? I don't want to get off topic, but have you seen
I love the Crazies. Recently.
Same thing. Same, the intros in a baseball field.
Yes, because I think it's a good way to set like an idyllic scene and then have it go to shit. I think it's a good polarity. Yeah. This is perfect and this is shit, and let's just let them have the meat on literally on the pitch, like on the field. Yeah,
because you want to paint a perfect picture of how their life used to be. This is how, because you want to show what they've lost before they lose it.
Yes.
So you couldn't do that in part 1 because you want to jump straight into the story, because the intro of Little Bullseye dying is the impact of that story.
Yes.
And so you have to have a different impact this time. And how do you create a different impact? The first one's like no sound. The whole thing is one sound kills. Now this is like a blatancy of sound. It's like sound everywhere because people don't know how to deal with the aliens. And we talked about before, like in our 12 different recordings. And we talked about before that, like with the front lines, the first thing they would do is attack. And that's the worst thing you can do against this type of alien is attack.
Of course,
because if I fire a
shotgun,
yeah, exactly.
Literally,
the thing about zombies is when a horde of zombies comes at you, you can come after them and you start blasting away, and you might get out of there. But with these aliens, as soon as you defend yourself, you're actually killing yourself.
Having a weapon would be the worst thing, and it'd be a long time.
Having a sound weapon anyway. Like,
yeah.
You need a hack and slash weapon, like the way Lee tries to kill it with an axe.
Yeah.
Later on, which is the most heartbreaking scene of the both movies.
In both of them.
In part one.
Definitely.
Oh my god.
I remember.
Yeah, because Bullseye was just so stupid.
Yeah, well, Bullseye deserved it, but
Bullseye deserved it.
Yeah, deserved it. I'm not the
Bullseye.
Let's just say neither MDK or Dylan, we don't approve of a fanticide. We never will do that. But if a kid keeps putting himself in the situation, nature be nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an anything though. Like if you're gonna survive, you have to think who's your weakest link. I mean, it's it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the buffalo only move as fast as the slowest buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
So as soon as that buffalo's taken out, you're just a more efficient machine.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, right? Like they survived so many more days without him.
Yes.
Think about it.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the story probably would have taken place in the first 3 weeks of Bullseye still alive, and they all would have died. Like
I thought in the first one, I thought their setup was so clever, and it was. But it turns out in the second one, when you see that the things are essentially giant tanks, so they can't swim.
Yeah.
That essentially what you would do is just like start playing Van Halen on a boat. Like, get some awesome guitarists to play Eruption. Just them running at
lace the water with nets and weights. And as soon as you go into it, just like let it go and let them sink to the bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
Weigh them down.
I like how if you look up in the cast for the first one, it says Leon Russum is Man in the Woods. That's all it says for his character.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, there's so few characters in this first film that like Man in Woods gets like right there, like
yeah, you know exactly which one it was.
Yeah, exactly. As in the one guy that screams in the woods.
Yeah, that guy was an asshole.
Oh
that guy was an
asshole.
Yeah, it's like give him. You clearly this is the wrong time, dude. Give us like 1 minute.
Yeah. It's like I'd be like, dude, just imagine we're playing hide and go seek and counted 30 Mississippis.
Yeah,
just give me 30 Mississippis, just like a quick jog down the road, just a little bit of safety. You know, that's all I'm asking for.
You're like 95. Can you hang around for like 10 more seconds?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, dude, you're like 160.
Just give me the okay. I'll snap your neck. It'll be quieter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually,
That's another way to go.
Like, that's what you should have done. And it'd be better to get your neck broken to get like sliced up by one of these aliens. I assume
that would have been a great scene if your man realized that the dude is about to out them
and he killed him.
He had to kill him.
That'd be great in front of his son.
It would have been a great scene.
Because jump on his back, hand over the mouth, and it shows what he's willing to do for his family.
Exactly, because these scenes are like The Walking Dead and stuff. You don't know what you do until you have to
do it.
Until it's your kid, or until it's
and like they even kind of prep the scene. Like you see him getting ready to scream. John could have easily like ran over there.
Yeah, take him down and strangle. I thought it would have been an amazing thing because again, he's lost a kid. He's got a kid on the way, and he still has 2 children. And if he doesn't get back, his wife would inevitably probably die as well because she's going to go into labor. I thought that would have been a great scene. I never thought of it there, but we just kind of pushed over.
Why the fuck did I have another kid? Like, why are they having another kid?
And clearly I mean, we don't know how far. I mean, I'm guessing she was pretty far into the pregnancy, so maybe before the invasion even happened, she was already pregnant.
Yeah, she was pregnant in the first film, actually, wasn't she? She was like a little bit pregnant or something like that.
Yeah.
Was she? Actually, maybe she wasn't. But yeah, no, why you're having another kid is completely beyond.
She was 3 weeks from her due date when they catch back up with the story after Bullseye dies on the farm.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because she goes to a calendar and then she marks it down. And it's like 3 weeks. I think it's the end of October or something. She's
right.
And it's 3 weeks. So if it's 400, I think it's 400 and something days.
456 days. Yep.
Yeah. So then she would have got pregnant after.
After the kid died.
Yeah.
So
we tracked her period, lads. Yeah.
Synchronicity.
We're white men, so of course we figured this shit out.
So then they kind of brought it on themselves with the kid. I mean, that was so dumb on their end.
And you're going to get everybody killed. Like everybody killed. Like there's no explaining to a baby what the situation is like.
It's like they say in The Walking Dead, every 4 hours you'd be ringing the dinner bell.
Yeah,
because like as soon as the baby cries for feeding,
it plays such a good role in like setting up the scenes in like the farmhouse. So like when they take the mattress to kind of insulate where they're hiding at, because so the baby can cry and whatnot.
Yeah, or an oxygen tank inside of what is essentially a little coffin looking thing.
Yeah,
but it could keep him alive.
They prepare so much after the fact, but he couldn't pull out.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, it's hard sometimes. Okay, it's hard to pull out.
No, we've got that Catholic Irish guilt. So it's just an innate. Yeah.
You remember the Lord says it's best when you put it on her chest.
What did you think? What did you think of the lights? Like how they strung the lights up around the farm in the first one.
Yeah, no, that was really clever.
And it goes red when
she goes into labor.
When she goes into labor, that was the thing. I love little things where you have to fight with the tools you have, and once you know what the situation is, you have to use the fact that you can communicate with visual. So, light, even the fireworks were brilliant because the sound was distracting them, and the lights meant no odds to the monsters, good or bad, but you could tell each other so much, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah, I just thought that's what I mean. I thought it was really clever. But if they'd realized that they were so close to the ocean, if they'd realized how safe they were, because in the second one you have that island, and they're just like having a barbecue.
2 days walk away.
2 days walk.
Yeah.
Which the Noah, the kid Noah, his personality, like I think, it was really clever to me because he played it so well. But he was like that, like paranoid, worried he's gonna mess up constantly. Portrayal played so well because like John in the first one had to like make sure he wasn't fucking up, but he was trying to make him feel safe. It's like it's okay, but quit fucking up.
It's like exactly. It's like it's okay to be human and make little mistakes at the right times. Like it brings him down to the river. You can make little sounds if it's surrounded by a louder sound. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just trying to teach him that it's okay to still live in this world. It's not just about surviving. There's still moments of living outside of just existence. Like you can actually have joy. You can howl behind a waterfall. You can go down and fish in a river without fear. And he's trying to teach him like that. Even though this world is horrible, and you have to always be on guard, there is still little moments of living to be had within this harsh existence. And that's one thing I like about it too, because he teaches them how to live as well as teach them how to exist. And that's really important because like if you're only existing, then you're not planning for the future. And if there is no future, then you give up on life.
It's just survival. Yeah. And not just surviving towards something, just getting through this hour. Yeah. And then when the clock goes around to 12 again, get through that hour. Yeah. Exactly.
The best version of that is like the Battlestar Galactica, is like the Cylons. Every 33 minutes to have to jump. You know that one? Like,
no, I never watched.
Have you never seen Battlestar Galactica?
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Bears?
Yeah. The Office, you feel the same.
I've only seen The Office once all the way through. It's a lot of episodes.
People can break your heart,
It's like 22 episodes a season.
Which Office are we talking about? The American one or the
US one? The US one.
I've seen both of them anyway. So
there's only like 10 of the British one or something.
Yeah, 8 or something.
There's like 1 million of the American one.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah, I only watched The American Office for the first time like last year.
That should be illegal. Like,
I watched it all.
I'm pretty sure I binged it like 3 times.
Yeah, same. And I think it's exactly 3. I think I've binged the whole thing 3 times.
The thing is, I came onto it late, so I haven't had a chance to rewatch it.
That's it, yeah.
Because I like the shows of Modern Family and stuff like that I watched through time. I've watched a lot of times. Because you watch it, and then they finish the run, and then you go back.
Modern Family is like one of those that you just turn on while you're doing stuff around the house. So
you can watch 6 episodes without even being into. And you laugh your ass off at every time.
Jim, like to see Jim from The Office, and like during the pilot, he said like he shot the pilot and then went back to work in a restaurant as a waiter, and he thought that was that. Like maybe better luck next time, or maybe not act anymore. And then you see he's directing, writing,
superstar now,
and acting in an absolute sleeper hit. Yeah. Like nobody knew it was going to be as big as it was. I reckon they were banking on success, but no, it was a huge.
As soon as I heard the premise and seen the trailer, I knew it was going to be a smash.
And it just shows there's just people walking around doing everyday mundane things where if given the opportunity to just like that was they're 2 great films. I enjoyed the first one a lot more than the second one, but I think the first one once you've introduced the concept, no matter how good the second one is, it won't have introduced the concept.
Yeah, exactly. Lose that originality.
Yeah, you lose that. Wow, God, I've never seen anything like that. So they expanded on it in the second one really well, and I give them a lot of credit. And it had some iconic scenes. But that introduction of that type of monster, you can't do it. You just can't do it again.
Yes.
Imagine he was just a dude who was just given an opportunity, and then he said, you know what, now that he has the ear of some powerful people in the industry, that he was able to make it. Now, don't get me wrong, some people make absolute tripe, but he just turned out to be this really, really talented dude. I'm really happy for his success, I have to say, because I think he's actually really, really talented.
I think, though, to call back on what you're saying about the way the second movie lacks a bit that the first movie, I think in the first movie you create the fear, in the second movie you have to play on the fear. And it's not the same thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because like when you create, like when I see Freddy Krueger for the first time, it's terrifying. And no matter how horrible it is to see him again and again and again, it's not as terrifying.
Or how big the scale of the dream is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, turn the guy into a video game or whatever.
Yeah, and like when you look at like A Quiet Place 1, because the scale of the movie is actually quite small.
Yes.
But it's laced with fear the whole way through, and it's a new kind of fear because none of us has experienced a horror like this before, where it's like you can't make a sound and you try to put your head in your mind in the character's headspace, and you look at it. Yeah, exactly. But you know, when you look at The Walking Dead, I do this, and I do this. But when you look at like The Quiet Place, you're like, shit, what would I do? How would I move around without making sound? How would I teach my children how to survive in the world without making sound? You know, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I hope they can't hear me shit myself.
I really like
the fear made it runny. So.
Yeah, though I love the warehouse scene, like in the second one. You know, I love how there's just noise everywhere. And they use the furnace to hide and then talk and have conversations. Like that's great.
Yes,
I called that, like when I went to see it in the cinema. I leaned over to my missus and I was like, "Yeah, see with that furnace, the way they're keeping it open with a towel." Later on, the mother's going to go looking for some oxygen, and she's going to leave the little kid with the baby. He's going to, alert the aliens. Going to run back into the furnace.
It was much more predictable in the second one.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's because we knew the rules.
It's following something that's very simple. Something that's happened in one film. One is like you're on the back foot, and then in the second one they kind of thought, what if? Because at the end of the first one they learned a way to fight back, and now the third one they're broadcasting that frequency that's driving the aliens crazy. So the third one is just going to be fucking revenge. It's going to be like taking back the planet.
That is if there is a third one.
So are they talking about it?
I don't know. I all I know is it made money and Hollywood is a greedy bitch.
Yeah, I know, but I thought about what John Krasinski wants to do because I'm assuming he owns.
That's the thing. John Krasinski does have a lot of. I don't know. I'd say inevitably, yeah. I was surprised that they went back to the Abbotts. I thought maybe when they made the second one, the fact of the matter is this has happened to the world. You could go to Scotland. You could go to Scandinavia, anywhere. You could go anywhere in the world because you've actually created a universe.
That's a TV series, probably the best way.
A TV series might explore that better. But I just thought now the third one could even be an opportunity because I know it's on one radio station, but one radio station could broadcast to a radio station that could broadcast it. You could have that even with the internet down. You could have that around the world.
All you need like a network of shortwave radios.
You know what they need to do is they need to bring Kevin Bacon into the third one. Bring some Tremors concept into it.
I love Tremors.
Oh my god,
Tremors is so good. Graboids.
Yeah, and it's just people. There's not even any humans in it. It's just a bunch of scenes of graboids grabbing the monster. I'm fucking down. Like I watched that film. What's her name? Mila, whatever.
Mila Jovovich.
And monsters. And I was like, I threw it on. I said to my missus, I said, "This is shit. This is going to be fucking awful." But you might enjoy it if you accept that it's awful. And we watched it, we were like, oh yeah, this is like literally popcorn fare.
You talk about Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's trash.
Absolute trash.
Paul W.S. Anderson is a trash human being.
It was bad, but when you go in and you go, this is going to be bad, but there's going to be monsters that are very big. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, massive weapons, massive monsters.
I think we were drinking wine and it felt so pretentious. It just felt like such a pretentious thing to be drinking.
I just had a wine and Monster Hunter evening.
Yeah, just Monster Hunters. And then a bit of Malbec
on the side.
I'm pretty sure when we watched the second Quiet Place, my wife and I were drinking, and I definitely was. I don't know if she was, but I remember they were running
flavored beer.
I like craft beer. Okay,
this fucking guy, it's disgusting. Some of the
You don't like
beers he
craft
drinks
beer?
is foul.
Yeah, I love craft beer. I don't
This
know
guy
what's
sends
wrong
me pictures of flavored beer the whole time.
Anyways, so they get through the fence and they're running, and like I knew that kid Noah was gonna end up hurting himself. It's like they're like, well, somebody's got to get injured. Oh, it's gonna be him. You know it's gonna be him, and then he fucking snaps. He gets caught in the bear trap.
Evelyn's so careless in that scene, though, isn't she?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Like she's like, I nearly tripped over something, and as soon as she gets over, I'm just gonna walk all cavalier to the next part.
Yeah.
Maybe look around. Put the baby down for a second.
Baby coffin. So,
but give the baby to Millicent for a second. Or just leave it on the ground and go in and scout the area. Like, who doesn't do that?
You kind of knew that in the hierarchy, with Lee dead, you knew the hierarchy of the characters that they were going to develop and have, like, make an impact was definitely going to be the mother and the daughter.
Yeah.
And that he was going to be, like, captain babysitter, essentially. So you needed him injured so that he's not a coward.
Yeah,
he's just incapable of doing what Regan was going to do. Like, right? Because Regan was technically Regan would be the last person you would want to send out alone. Yeah, because her disability is a particularly bad one to have
in that situation. Which was shown in the train sequence.
The train scene was great for that because the monster coming on behind her, she's looking the other way, so you know she doesn't know
because she falls initially and makes a loud noise. She goes to get first aid kit out of a bathroom.
But you wouldn't know if you step on a twig and it makes a particularly loud snap. You wouldn't know. Like, it's such a terrifying prospect.
Actually, now that you say that, when they leave the sand path, they go on to dry leaves.
Yeah.
The crunchiest motherfuckers in existence.
Grass
paths either side, and they walk straight down the dry leaves. I'm going to walk down the dry leaves! What's that? Be quiet! What's that?
And there's one thing. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please. You're the guest.
The one thing that we really haven't discussed yet, by far, is their weakness. Like her hearing aid,
certain frequency, whatever.
It's like that was perfect. When she found out, like she put the two, she's looking at the board, and she's like, okay, so because they see all of them coming, and there's that one down there. And she's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put this up to the thing, and it works,
I love the way the creature's entire head is like one gigantic ear canal.
Yeah,
and it opens up.
That's what happens to me when Wonderwall comes on. Just sitting in the pub, and Wonderwall comes on, and my whole skin and everything. It's a very good time if you're ever trying to take me out. Said maybe.
Like, do I have to play that particular frequency? Yeah, just the sound of her
voice.
No,
just the sound. Just Lee Gallagher's voice. We're good. We're good to go.
That's any 21st century. That's any 21st century pop song for me.
God, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
Oasis.
Well, I do think the fact that their weakness made them very weak. Though, you know what I mean? Like, their weakness didn't give you a shot. Because it wasn't just that they opened up and there was vulnerable flesh. They also were in incredible amounts of pain, and it seemed to disorientate them.
Like Venom.
Like Venom. It's actually quite similar to Venom itself, where it disorients. So it hurts. It creates vulnerability, like physical vulnerability, and then it disorientates. Now, if those monsters are like that, you could go out with just a small amount of ammunition, and you could take out quite a few of them. Because they can't see you and they can't hear you sneak up, because they can't hear you anymore now.
You need to amplify it and have multiple people attack them at the one time.
Like, remember, they were going with essentially what was a vocal app or something like that. And that was,
you know more than I will.
I think it was a vote that she was able to just hook her earpiece up to that, and that was like a 10-watt amp that you could carry around in your hand.
Is that battery operated amp?
Yeah, battery operated amp. So you get a couple of hours out of it. I'm just saying, you could take the world back inside of 2 years.
But you'd have to literally blast it, high blast in public spaces that can cover a lot of ground, or drive cars through, and then you'd have to have people attacking. It's more difficult than you think. The fact is, we don't know how many aliens are there either.
I don't want sometimes it's what I hated about the second Matrix was that Agent Smith in the first one was such a badass, and then the second one, Neo, was such a badass that 400 Agent Smiths fight him in a basketball court, and he's just laying waste.
Dude,
I didn't want my bad guy to become a pussy.
I'm going to tell you right now, for the did it. If you don't reference a different movie next time, I'm going to fight you on this podcast. You motherfucker. Reference a different movie, motherfucker. I love you, man, but reference more movies.
Sheila says I do it with Final Destination. Like, as in anytime something like they step on something and it's like in Quiet Place, and she steps on this and flirts with monster. Almost like it was supposed to happen. Almost like, and she's like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And now, of course, because I found out it annoys her so much, I managed to work it into situations it does not work at all.
You go into work, you go, yeah, I go to my destination. One could say it's my final destination.
Yeah, exactly. She asked me to bring her for a coffee yesterday, and I said, "My final destination." It made no sense, but it annoyed her, so I won.
But back to the movie, right? So when you look at the two movies side by side, Dylan, right, and Noel, right? The thing is, we mentioned previously that the original, you introduce us to a world, it has that freshness, it has this newness, and the fears itself that it creates hit you with more impact because you don't know what the rules are, you don't know when they're coming to get you. And we have a follow-up to something like A Quiet Place we consider like an 8 or 9 out of 10 movie. It's a lot harder to do that because you lose the freshness, the originality. So the scares have to be a little bit different, a little bit bigger. The world has to be a little bit bigger. And this is where we see the kind of divergence between the two movies, because A Quiet Place 1 is very insular. And it's all on the Abbott farm, nearly apart from the fishing.
Five characters, one is killed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, and then the second one is very like The Last of Us. It's the old trope of the wolf and the young pup going on a road journey to some heroic end or whatever.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean? So like, so the first one is very inward thinking. The second one's very outwardly thinking. And like, Dylan, I'll throw this to you. Do you think that's kind of symptomatic of most sequels? And do you think that's often a good thing, or would you prefer to see a more insular story and gradually build up?
When I see a sequel, I don't want it to be predictable. But again, one thing that they did do great is how they made it, more of a bigger, broader idea. There wasn't really a safe haven. I mean, there kind of was in the second one, but in the first one, they really have that safe haven. And then in the second one, they're trying to find a place, and then they have to leave, and they find that island. I mean, I know that Emily Blunt's still in the warehouse for majority of it. And but Millicent going out was huge because so they didn't base it just on the warehouse again, So they had that
multiple story
getting to the island and all that. That was great. I love how they separated. I didn't expect that. When they got to the warehouse, I thought, okay, that's going to be the next, because in Walking Dead, the first several seasons, there's like that safe haven. And this one,
there's a base.
You think that's it? Yeah. You think that that's what's going to happen in the second one and first, and then I expected Millicent to go do something, but I didn't expect it to take such a broad, Do
you not think she'd be the central protagonist, or did you think it would be more focused on Emily Blunt's character, Evelyn?
I don't. So I think if you were to take the top two characters, I would say it would be Emily Blunt and Millicent. But as far as which one's the stronger, I almost feel like it's Millicent in the second one rather than Emily.
Well, Emily's got to be a nursing mother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
it must be so sore.
Just the character,
imagine having baby.
Character you have to work with. She's badass. She's brave. She's strategic. She's intelligent. She's learned a lot from her dead husband. She's Lee, but at the same time, she's still literally a nursing mother. She's just you can't have her character just go out into the world. Yeah. You would be thinking, no, that's not how it would play out. And the daughter was so spearheaded and felt so much guilt about her father's death. Again, it comes back to predictable thing, but it did work. You would expect her to kind of go like, fuck it, we have to do something. And again, like you said, Last of Us, and that she was her blood, she was immune.
She was
but in this one, she's technically had a plan. Yeah. She wasn't
she was the cure.
Yeah, she had a plan. She had a way to hurt them. And she needed to take that somewhere where she could do something with it. She felt pushed.
And like in the first one, Millicent's character played a big role, but Emily's pregnancy was so iconic. Like when she gave birth and all that, it was so huge. So it really made that first episode.
The fireworks. The fireworks.
The fireworks.
Where she screams as the fireworks go. That seems incredible.
Or where she stepping on a nail. Any film I've ever seen it in is one of the worst. It's just for some reason you see someone get shot in the head, you go, and then you see someone stepping on the nail, you go, no.
That's because you stood on a nail. Yeah, being shot in the head. You can resonate.
And I want to stick with A Quiet Place, of course. But have you seen the new Evil Dead? Did you ever see that one, the newer one?
Well, Fede Alvarez directed. Actually,
where he shoves a machete in and gets her knee.
Oh
yeah! Oh, Jesus Christ!
And like that's just those like something so simple like that really kind of get
What's the chainsaw on your one's mouth at the end of it?
Yeah. But at least she was this monster, like eat this motherfucker or something.
Yeah.
But she was so far gone into being a deadite, as they would call them, that you were kind of like, it was almost like cutting into
the amount of blood in that
dead
movie,
body or something.
my God.
But that stab with the knife, that was God.
Oh my God.
Well, it's just like I know it's worse than the nail, of course, but it's set like that like what that would you can kind of get an idea of how that feels.
I actually stabbed myself in the leg before when I was a kid.
I've had 12 knee surgeries, so I mean,
dude, we're talking about stabbings.
Yeah. I've had knives stuck in my knee 12 times.
You were asleep during the whole process. I was awake when I stabbed myself.
You win.
Yeah, thank you. Fuck's sake. And that's what is that.
Now back to the
Just see the camera go down.
I told you what I told you. The second one, because we're definitely, kind of.
You mentioned the Matrix again. I'm ending this broadcast.
Yeah, you just see Dylan's finger going out.
And that's if I let you end this broadcast. The thing we were talking about how expensive the second one was, and I made me think of it. In every film, that's a formula that's followed. It could be we've talked about anything. Alien to Aliens is always a good go-to for that, or Buddy Home Alone was a go-to for that. It's just what they do. But this one, it felt organic to the storyline, but it did kind of, and they did allow the scene where one of the monsters, aliens. I don't know what word we're going with, but let's just say monsters.
In A Quiet Place, or aliens.
Aliens gets to the island and just lays waste to everyone. I thought was one of my favorite scenes because they thought they knew what the world was, and they thought they had this little slice of heaven. And I thought it was just where you see Emmett just running. Run! And there's a guy at a well, I think, and he's just like, "What's up, dude?"
That guy's making the most noise ever. Like, he's hitting every brick on that well on the way up with that bucket. He's like, la-di-da-di-da.
Normal life.
It's normal life. La-di-da.
Well, and then they get in the car and like race to the radio station, and like you see him get dragged immediately out of the freaking radio station.
Oh, and I was saying, I thought he was such a cool character, but I said as soon as he was like, they're in there and he's back to the door. I'm just going to stand here on my back to door, and I've got something to say. I was like,
I want to whisper, and I'm going to whisper loud.
Yeah, I was just like, you got serious Samuel L. Jackson.
I have to go back to my house. I said I have to go back to my house.
You remember like Samuel L. Jackson with the sharks?
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea. Yeah. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden in my head I went, "It's going to get Deep Blue Sea."
Yeah,
100, and then he was, and then I could just picture John Krasinski standing over going, "I don't really need the character anymore." Dragged away by monster.
Do you think it's a case of like when The Walking Dead, when they go to Alexandria and you see this world that has been surviving, but is wholly unprepared to deal with the outside world?
That's it.
And when you look at this
what
world,
season was that? Because I only saw the first like 3 seasons. Which one was that?
I think it was like season 6 or 7 when they go to Alexandria, I think. And so pretty much they go to this place and it's like kind of idyllic and stuff. And then what they realize is it's only idyllic is because that's what they're perceiving the world should be. And they're actually not prepared for the outside world, and they haven't been preparing for the outside world. And I think
dropping your guard is another classic.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that's like the United States dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
It's not gonna come here.
looking at it's not here. It's not. Oh shit! 100,000 people.
Yeah. I remember when 15 people had it, and you were like, Trump was like, "I know it's going to get closer to 0."
Yeah, it's fine.
Closer to any zeros with a 1 in front of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this. Imagine Trump dealing with these aliens.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
I tell the aliens that I've got the words. I've got the best words. Mr. Trump, they're storming through the White House. I'd like to see him do that.
Him, one of the monsters, and Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
have you ever seen Evolution?
Yes.
I imagine Trump would be Sean William Scott standing on the stage in the mall trying to get their attention.
Waving down the fucking flying monster when that's when they can breathe in our atmosphere. You know? I love that scene. Really green. Sean William Scott steals the show in that movie, though, doesn't he? Or do you remember when Orlando Jones gets the alien up his ass? And he's like, I want some ice cream. What flavor? It don't matter. It's for my ass. Oh man, that's so fucking good.
All right, I'm gonna drag us kicking and screaming back to the topic. We're in the radio station.
Yeah, go on.
And she's
you can bounce back and forth between the two because the way we're running it, I want to do it as like a comparative piece. So if you feel like you don't feel, if I was you, I wouldn't. You shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't feel like it's our.
You're not
we're not chronologically.
When a pint jumps in your head, just fucking say it. You know?
Fair enough. I thought
as long as it's not Matrix.
It's just Matrix 2. He likes to say a lot.
This is why I'm trying to think of the point.
And it's not his fault because I make him record way too much. I'm just like leeching all his information.
There's one tear running down my eye, just trying not to say it.
Like as soon as we go off air, I'll just turn Noel John off, put back in the wardrobe, and I'll just wheel him back out in a couple of days for the next recording.
But I actually thought the second film was a lot more formulaic. But I was hoping
because you know the formula.
But I was hoping exactly what would happen. Yeah, a cool showdown, one last time, and then her given the world a weapon. At the very least, given that I don't know where in America this is supposed to be. What state it's even in?
Oh shit! It's on the Appalachian Trail. I know that for a fact. Because he just says
the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, down by where's that? Down by like Alabama and all that kind of place. Is it
Florida?
Where was Justified set? Kentucky.
That was Texas.
Texas.
I thought Justified was Texas.
I thought it was Kentucky.
You might be. I don't know. I've only watched like 2 episodes.
I'll fight 2 episodes. This guy's seen it all the way through. I'll fight you right now, Dylan. Virtually
fight you. Right I watch like 7 seasons at once.
Get your face up. Get your face
up. Series.
I'm bona fide. Do you remember that? I love that George Clooney's garden that is non-existent. He literally fights the entire fight with his fists open, like this, like he's out, and he just getting punched in the face.
What was that film where he was frozen for like 30 years or something like that?
Not Forever Young.
Forever Young. It was Forever Young. Yeah, it was the same where he comes in. There's some spousal abuse coming on, so he stands up for her, and again he puts up them dukes.
Yeah,
but he kicks the shit out of your man.
But like, if I'm fighting a dude and he does this, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to win this fight." 100%.
I'm going to punch this dude in his balls.
Yeah, I'm just going to jab his nose off his face.
I love the priest scene in Dead Alive where he's like, I kick ass for the Lord, and he like goes out.
I brought that into my history class and threw it on just to see what would happen if she let us watch it.
The entire film.
Shit.
It was a double class. Yeah, she let us watch the entire thing. She said she kind of got sucked into it. She was like, "This is the most violent thing I've ever seen." I said, "It's the most violent thing anyone."
It really is. It takes a whole new. Listen, that's another episode.
That's another episode.
Oh yeah, we should actually do that Bad Taste and What's Your Own Brain Dead, or is that the same movie?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think it'd be like a clash of 2 films.
Actually, yeah, a bit like we're doing Quiet Place 1 and 2. We just do like Bad Taste.
Yeah, you just keep bouncing around from Lord of the Rings and
I'm not really get too worked up on who was in what film.
So Aragorn comes out and says, "I kick ass for the Lord."
Arrows hitting zombies.
Instead of "You shall not pass," just "I kick ass for the Lord."
Your man on the bridge.
The priest there with the Balrog coming at him.
Talk about
fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so the radio station.
Yeah, so the radio station. I thought the scene, it was a little bit like them feels, and it was a little bit formulaic, but when she sets it up on the radio station, a very tense scene of her getting into the actual recording room or producer's room, or whatever you want to call it, putting it on the microphone, broadcasting it, and then her and her brother, because there's one of the aliens is actually so strong he can get into the furnace, and he gets out, and I think he gets a gun, and Reagan gets...
He picks up off the table, it's a revolver.
It's a revolver, and Reagan gets like a golf club or something that's with a broken top.
It looks like a microphone stand. That's what I'm thinking, because she's in a radio station.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
You know what I mean? It just looked like a bar.
She just picked
I just thought it was a microphone stand because she's in a radio station.
And she goes up and just stabs the bitch in the head. And I'm just thinking, you have to be the first person in the world to do that. As in the American military, the most powerful military force in the world is gone.
I doubt it. There's ninjas out there probably killing those aliens.
Take one of those things out.
There's probably ninjas out there killing them aliens like a motherfucker.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like go to Tokyo, no aliens left.
No, the military would be gone, but there'd be like left 7 Rambos.
Yeah.
That's it. Like,
no, just 7 rice farmers. And they practice ninjutsu. Because that's where ninjutsu came from. It came from the peasants, the lower caste, the higher caste were samurai, and the lower caste were the farmers. So ninjutsu, they came up with their own form of martial arts called ninjutsu, and a lot of it incorporated actually farm tools and farm equipment, because that's what they had on hand.
Scorpion.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? Like, so that's where you'll see that kind of claw that comes off. And so that actually comes from a farm tool, like a rake or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because the samurais actually used to like kind of like push the power down on the peasant or the lower caste.
So they had real refined weapons like katanas.
Exactly, yeah. Like so they came back with with ninjutsu, and that's why ninjas and samurais hate each other.
Oh my god, I'd love to see a white place in Japan.
Imagine that.
Oh, I would love to see
with ninjas and samurais.
Yeah.
What? Dead.
And all the pornography of girls.
Dead. Dead.
Yeah.
That's what happened. The big martial arts place to be killed. Dead.
Pretty sure it is.
Dead. Dead.
I feel like if you took some samurais and put them in Quiet Place, they'd be like the perfect ones, because they don't have any weapons.
I'm telling you, man. Dead.
Do you think this film deserves a third film, or do you think it's kind of a nice? Sometimes a little bit open at the end is kind of cool. And
it's hinted at that they're going to win because they have the way to win.
Yeah,
it's hinted, but I feel like, and I know The Walking Dead is still huge, but there's a point where there's only so much you can do.
Yeah,
and if they were to do it, yeah.
I mean,
honestly, I think it'd be great to do a scene if they actually found the actual meteor or a movie where they found the meteor and it's like a hive or something like that. Would be pretty neat.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Because if you do a third one, you have to go that extra step further, and maybe John Krasinski wants to hold back on going all out war, because the next one is first of all is survive the world, figure out a way to thrive in the world, and then take back the world.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's the trilogy, because that's what The Walking Dead is.
That's it. That's why I don't want the boring bad guy that you can just easily beat. So I don't know how the monsters fight back. Yeah. It's not that you're rooting for them, but you just don't want it to be easy.
Well, they just swarm, I assume. They look like a swarm type thing.
I like it. They're vulnerable, but they're also about 5 times as aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be good.
I love the opening scene in part 2 where did you see a car and he just fucking takes the car over.
Absolutely.
Do you remember the cop car? Like it's when we see the alien for the first time. They don't care. Man, woman, child, animal, inanimate object, machine. You make it nice, I'm going to take you fucking out. And that's what I love about the bad guys. Like, they don't differentiate between prey or an animation. As soon as they heard a noise, see that the car was a siren. And straight away, he goes barreling right through the car. And then you see the real strength of these creatures.
I like where you're seeing how every teenager in at least the United States of America
would be dead.
I would be, because they got a text message. Sitting there, and all of a sudden, just like,
and the other do praying loudly as a motherfucker. Lord, help
I
me.
feel like if they were to do a third one, it'd be one of those situations where you watch a trailer and you could tell, okay, this is going to be good, or nah, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah.
And sometimes they know that they have you hooked, because we'd say, "Oh, I'm not too crazy about it, but it's going to make money."
The thing is, right? But the thing is, if you make a third movie, you're going to have to show the conclusion of the Abbott story. But if you make an interceding or interluding TV series, you can actually continue the story in the meantime and then come back with a third story and wrap up the entire universe.
Yes.
But because if you wrap it up with the Abbotts, there goes your world. You're in prequel territory.
Yeah.
And we all know how the story ends then.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to them would be, if you want to expand the universe, make 2 limited series on like Netflix, wherever the fuck, or Amazon, because he does Jack Ryan on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, sell him the rights, do 2 6-episode limited runs in 2 years, into 2 years in between making part 2 and part 3 or whatever. Then release part 3 at the end of it and wrap up the entire universe. Because if you release the third movie now, you're going to have to wrap up the entire story, and then you're going to have to backtell the story to open up the world again. And I think if you could actually open up the world in the meantime, because there's 2 or 3 years in between these movies anyway.
Yeah, there is.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think the room is there. It all depends how quick you can get a TV series made,
Like Scream 5 is on the way out, even if it takes.
I'll message John Krasinski right now. I'll give him the idea.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But he constantly watches our show anyway. He's always hitting me up, doing pranks and stuff. He said I'm like he's the white or whatever. No, but
I have him in my phone as Jay Crazy.
Jay Grizzle. Did you think Cillian Murphy was a good fill-in or good replacement for John Krasinski. No, like if that's you, so
I give it to me. Yeah, I honestly thought he was, because they didn't try and replace Lee with Lee. They tried to
never be my father.
Yeah, he tried to replace him with a guy that was more jaded, who was surviving but wasn't too crazy about whether he survived or not, because he lost his son, and the only reason he had to really go on. But at and it was kind of a redemption arc where Evelyn told him that, I promise you, she's worth it. Like, she's worth going after.
No, what happened was earlier on, Emmett said, "You don't know what's out there. What people's left ain't worth saving." And she said, "It's a pity Lee is dead, because if he was here right now, he would tell you without a doubt that my daughter is one of those people that is worth saving." And my answer to that would be, if Lee's here, why isn't Lee saving himself?
Yeah.
Why am I going out after Lee? It's your daughter.
What happened to Lee?
Yeah. It's like, how's Lee doing, Evelyn?
Yeah, how's Lee doing?
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is. One of my favorite scenes is. Do you remember when she said, "When you saw the fire, did you know it was us?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Did you ever think about saving us?" No. Because
he's honest.
What he was thinking about was putting his wife to rest.
But yeah, you can imagine just how bloody this world is, and you see a fire.
It's hard.
I'd imagine you ran away. Everyone that survived the world 1 year, 465 days later, every single one of them has run away from a situation or something.
And
just 100.
You can't be mad at him either. Like, she wasn't mad. Like, you could tell. You could tell she understood. You know.
Yeah, and he was still trying to get over the fact that his son died on day one or day of, I think they call it, and his wife was dying of cancer throughout the entire period in between then. So while he was grieving the loss of his son, he had to cope or come to the realization that he was about to lose his wife. And then as soon as he lost both his reasons for living, he just started existing.
Yeah.
And that's the word it comes again. Like, that's what The Walking Dead's all about. And maybe that's why they had a child or have a baby. Because if you don't plan for the future, you're just existing, you're not living, you're surviving, you're not thriving. And I think that's the thing, the balancing act. When you're in an apocalyptic world, do you try to survive? Do you try to thrive? Do you try to live, or try to exist? And when you decide to live, you're going to go, okay, now we have to try to take our world back. Yeah. And the only way to do that is to plan for the future. You have a child, you make sure your children survive, you try to build communities. And that's what The Walking Dead's all about. And that's what the Quiet Place tries to do as well in the second movie.
And it was a very soft version of that character that you don't know what you'll do until you have to do it. Yeah. He didn't do anything completely immoral.
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't do the bravest thing. Or he didn't come running.
Sin through in action.
Because the fact of the matter is, you'd like to think you would, but if you lost everything, you'd be broken. As opposed to things like Walking Dead, where they cut up human beings who tried to kill them to save their ammunition because...
Yeah, well, some of those guys deserved it.
Oh, they deserved it.
One of my favourite scenes in The Walking Dead.
Not only that, you die badly.
Do you remember when Rick bites the guy's throat out?
No.
On the edge of the road. There's an amazing scene. The whole part of the episode, the whole thing of the theme of the season is about trying to come back. And there's him trying to weigh up what Herschel taught him. You can either be a farmer or you can carry that gun around, Rick, but you can't be both. And I love that whole episode. It's about him coming to terms with, I can be one thing, but I can't leave past this new thing that I actually am now. Yeah. So you have to maintain that bit of humanity, but you also have to change and evolve with the world you're in. And that whole episode is one of the best episodes of Walking Dead, in my opinion, because it has these flashbacks between Herschel trying to teach him how to be a farmer, trying to show Carl a better way, to Rick actually coming to the realization that way is over. That way, it could be a part of me, but it can't be all of me, because it'll make me too soft and I'll get killed. And the guy tries to rape Carl and murder Carl and shit, and he actually goes, Michonne catches the guy, and Rick goes, leave him to me, or he's mine, or something. Walks over and starts, first he bites the guy's throat out, and then he beats the next guy to death, you know what I mean? Because they try to murder and rape Carl. It's one of the best episodes of Walking Dead, in my opinion.
I think we should. I think because we're running low on time, that we should get some thoughts on this, maybe.
Yep.
Okay, we'll put it down to maybe one or two questions. One, how would you score the film? Let's pretend that this film, because we did kind of do the one comparative side by side.
Yeah.
This was one film. You went to the theater and you sat there for 4.5 hours and you watched one film. How would you rank it?
Maybe 3 hours.
3 hours? There were long films.
Both 90 minutes.
Together, would they be close to 4?
Most horror movies 90 minutes.
I'm going to do a 8.2 out of 10. I'll say 8.2.
8.2, that's good. And do you think if we were to score it separate, you think the second one drags the average down a tiny bit?
Yes.
Yes, fair enough.
I think the first one
was very precise, but I kind of like it.
Like I said, the personalities that they picked for the family, they enhance that first one because there's no noise, so they kind of have to play on that, and they did it so well. So I definitely say that was probably my favorite one of the two.
Yeah, my opinion, I think the Quiet Place franchise is probably the most original franchise in modern history. Modern history,
especially of its genre.
Yeah,
I think it's
and
a comfortable thing.
Something we spoke about before was I'm saying this, but this is going to air before the episode. But one of the great signs of something's lasting legacy is the amount of imitations it has.
Yeah,
and you look at A Quiet Place, it's kind of like its own subgenre now, nearly like this horror sensory deprivation subgenre. Bird Box, Don't Breathe 1 and 2, The Hush, that movie you were telling me about as well. Yeah. So like, you know, and I think when you weigh up A Quiet Place 1 and 2, I think it's ripe for expansion, and I think that it'll have a lasting legacy, and I think that it actually has a massive impact on the genre and how it's actually showed filmmakers and storytellers how they can portray fear and terror in different ways.
Because we were talking about The Shining recently, and it was just saying it has 41 years later, people are still talking about it, and we don't know how Quiet Place is going to age, but we suspect well.
Yeah, especially the first one.
What about you? We'll just score it. We'll get out of here.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
If I had to weigh up the two movies, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 franchise. Simply for originality, the emotional beats hit you really hard. The scares are really good. They still make me jump every time, especially when I watch with headphones. The cast is perfect. You got such a strong cast: Noel Jupe, Millicent Simmons, John Krasinski in the first movie, Cillian Murphy in the second movie. You know, good old Ireland.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You got back the Irish.
You're not coming at them for their cast.
Yeah.
No way.
And I think when you have a small cast, something like talk about there can be no weak links, and the Quiet Place franchise is the perfect exemplification of when you have no weak links, you don't have a weak story. And you got rid of Bullseye, he was your weak link, and now you got one of the strongest horror franchises out there, in my opinion.
An 85 from me, but for all the same reason. Again, I would have liked to see it just a tiny bit more. I would have given it probably 100 if there was a moment where somebody did something.
We rate out of 10, and you rate out of 100.
Well, he went 8.2, so I can easily turn that into a percentage idea.
82%, out of 10 stars. 82%, yeah.
8.5 stars. 8.5 stars out of 10.
Yeah. I just think over the past few months, because of the issues we've had with getting this on tape, this fucking franchise, it's extremely rewatchable.
Yes.
Like we rewatched it more times than we wanted to, even though I adore these movies.
God,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I was saying to him. I said, if I have to watch it again, I'm going to start hating it, man.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, and that's the fear.
It's about some stupid fucking monsters. Anyway, Dylan, I understand that you have to get to work. Yourself, so we're going to.
I gotta get. What was the thing? You said you had two questions though.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I suppose the second question. Sorry, we touched on. Do you think that this is a film that's looked back on in 20 years as a fun film, as a must watch for the next generation of the horror fans?
I think it would be definitely like if in 10 years, if I was talking to my kid about it. Oh, you remember that movie? And he was like, no, I don't. I'm like, I'd sit down and watch it with him. I think that it will still be a thing in 10, 20 years from now, yes.
So do I. It's not fanfare.
And because it's not so special effects heavy, I think it'll age extremely well.
Yeah.
Well, and there's specifics about this particular, the whole silence and everything that's different from just all the other, just horror films, alien movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And what you call it? Do you need to get the fuck out here, Dylan?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
I got to get my kid ready for school.
All right, cool. So, hey, Dylan, do you want to tell the fine folks where they can find you?
Oh, yeah. So I have a YouTube channel, Jukebox Ginger. It's, I have a show called Starrdumb with 2 R's, and it's spelled D-U-M-B. It's all about, just the crazy, outrageous shit that people say and do.
I watch it often on YouTube, so I love it. Genuinely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I watched the clips. Man, that big Grizz guy you had on yesterday, fantastic beard.
Oh, dude, I know.
Yeah, the two rednecks, guys.
Yeah, and he was an ambassador too, so it was even better. That's why I picked that topic. It just made sense.
But it works. It's silly in a clever way, and I think that's a fine balancing act. And I commend you for it. And I'd recommend anyone who's listening to check them out.
So, folks, right, go over to Spotify, YouTube, check out Jukebox Ginger on YouTube, Starrdumb with 2 R's, spelled D-U-M-B at the end on Spotify. And Dylan, thanks for coming. You're our first guest, official guest to come on here on Body Standards. That's awesome. And Dylan, you were actually the first American podcast that we ever appeared on either. So thank you so much for that. And that was really fucking awesome.
A little bit incestuous here in our networking.
Yeah, it's what we do. If I've learned anything from Joe Rogan is you build a community and everybody gets stronger from it. And I think that's what we're going to try and do here. And Dylan, so thanks so much for coming on and talk about Quiet Place 1 and 2 with us. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel.
We got Carmack in the back, and that's Dylan C. And motherfuckers, we see you next time. Thanks again. Peace out.
See you around.